Hello, thank you for joining me in a brand new video. Today I have the iPhone 17 with me and I will share with you what I like the most and what I like the least about it after having tested it. So, as always, let me remind you, do not purchase the iPhone 17 without first watching this video. Let's take into account its launch price, which is 19,999 pesos. I often mention that devices tend to decrease in price and that you might find it at a lower cost by the time this video was recorded. However, with the iPhone, that's not typically the situation. Prices generally tend to stay the same as they were at launch, and this also brings benefits when you purchase it because it doesn't lose value as quickly. That's already one of its benefits and a key advantage of buying an iPhone, especially if you're planning to sell it later to upgrade to another phone. This point often isn't highlighted in reviews since it's not technical, but it's true. iPhones retain their value longer. Now, let's dive into the technical details, starting with what I liked most. At last, in this generation, they have included promotion to the display, which means 120 Hz, allowing it to move much more smoothly. For a long time, iPhone users claimed this wasn't needed, but now that it's been added, they will certainly be thrilled. It's a feature that should have been included in the most basic iPhone long ago, but it wasn't. Well, now there is even an iPhone model that's lower than this one. Talking about the high-end flagship iPhone series, this is the base or entry model and it's finally improved. I liked it, though it's not an advantage over competitors since they've had such screens for a while. But if you're upgrading from an older iPhone, you'll notice the difference. Another positive aspect is that the basic model now offers up to 256 GB. However, this is not necessarily an advantage over its competitors, as it really. Other competitors might provide you with storage options of 256 or even 512 GB. However, it's a significant enhancement that this iPhone has made compared to its previous versions. This is precisely why this iPhone has garnered considerable attention, as it genuinely signifies a substantial advancement over the iPhone 16. Although it may not be vastly superior to the competition, it is certainly much better than the previous generation. Apple has also decided to incorporate the anti-glare finish for this screen. That is something that I really like because they did not reserve this technology exclusively for the most expensive model, but they put it from this model, and the truth is that it gives you a very good feeling. And this could be an advantage against competitors because not all of them offer you an anti-reflective finish in this way. Samsung, as an example, provides this feature with even superior quality, though it is available exclusively in its most expensive model. In this scenario, we will discover it available from the entry-level model all the way to the flagship series. The front camera is also excellent, and indeed this is an outstanding aspect. We've already discussed it, but we're referring to a camera known as center stage, which will enable us to... It boasts an impressive range, and with its square sensor, you can hold the device vertically and still achieve horizontal framing while recording video. We could have a much more comfortable content generation experience. As usual, it's a camera that provides a unique color, very iPhone-like, with good detail in photos and videos. This camera performs excellently, featuring autofocus, making it versatile. For content generation, it's an excellent tool given its video quality. Fast charging has also improved, now supports 40 watts, and is another point that I liked a lot. I know that there are other manufacturers that offer chargers of 80 or even more watts, but in real-life tests, it is a charge that is really effective. It works very well. You will not feel that it is slow or anything like that. This is another of its strongest points, although the charger is sold separately, but hey, it supports faster charging. Furthermore, this generation has made progress in other areas, which might seem minor but are quite useful in our daily lives. For instance, it includes support for always-on display, a feature that previous generations lacked in their base editions, offering it only in the Pro versions. This edition provides a more enhanced experience. Moreover, it incorporates satellite connectivity, which is absolutely remarkable and sets it apart from competing models that lack this feature. This connectivity is a significant advancement and can truly distinguish it in the market. I believe satellite connectivity is crucial, especially in emergencies, allowing communication if the mobile network fails. In Mexico, no other brand matches Apple here. Another plus is the K recording with cinema mode, providing natural blur and excellent video quality not yet seen in Mexico. No manufacturer has been able to achieve the same level of naturalness in the result. Well, I think the design is one of its best features. The mat cover looks and feels great, and the design is distinctive with good color options. The iPhone camera excels in backlight handling, compensating lights and shadows well in tough photography and video situations. However, let me share what I didn't enjoy. The first thing is the lack of a telephoto camera on this device. Competitors in this price range offer better zoom. If zoom for photos and videos is your priority, this falls short. Others provide better quality. It's time Apple included a telephoto camera here, even if simpler than the Pro models. However, indeed, it is a situation where it has fallen significantly behind over many generations. Surely in some future generation, they will incorporate it to ensure it signifies a substantial enhancement. Apple typically takes a considerable amount of time to enhance a feature, and when they eventually include it, fans, of course, become thrilled due to the long wait they have endured for it to occur. Another disappointing aspect of this device is its front-facing camera, particularly with the portrait mode during nighttime. It's quite a specific situation, but during that test it behaves almost as if it were a low-end Android device. Honestly, it turns out to be a truly disastrous experience. I'd like to stress this is a specific case, but I run this test on many devices yearly, and this ranks among the worst. Additionally, we will observe that it features USB 2. This means that if you are planning to record all your content and assume that the cable would enable a quicker transfer, well, in this instance that's not the case. It is quite a slow port, and for instance, it wouldn't let us record professional videos directly to an external storage device, unlike the Pro model, which does allow for that. So there's a really significant and important cut. That definitely, it doesn't provide us with that premium feeling, and considering it's a costly device, we have a right to expect it. Another aspect that I found disappointing is that the camera produces certain ghostly reflections, if you will. I really dislike it when there are intense lights in the frames, whether it be in photography or video. It looks quite unattractive. I've compared it with other devices that I typically test, and they don't create such strong reflections. This can be extremely bothersome when creating content. So let's say you wanted this cell phone specifically for recording content, and you often find yourself creating a lot of content during nighttime or in party settings in similar scenarios. In these situations, those reflections from the lights can become quite bothersome and distracting. Additionally, I must say, the camera interface itself is something I'm not fond of. For instance, it doesn't allow us to rotate the front camera while recording video. Moreover, it lacks a comprehensive professional mode, offering only a limited set of manual adjustments. Of course, you have the option to install other applications, which will most likely come with an extra cost, to more or less achieve some of these functions. However, other manufacturers include all of this natively within their own camera systems. As for the camera button, although Apple boasts about this feature, I personally find it quite annoying. Especially because if you are holding the device in a vertical position, you will notice that this button remains active, which means you might frequently experience unintended activations. These activations can inadvertently alter certain parameters of your photograph just by holding the device this way, so I believe the implementation is quite poor. Obviously, you can disable it in settings, which many people do. So I would not consider this to be a particularly attractive feature of the iPhone. And as is the case with every iPhone, I also have an issue with the fact that its ecosystem is quite closed. For example, we can't use high-resolution codecs with headphones other than Apple's, and similarly there are many other restrictions. For instance, if you want to use a smartwatch from a brand that isn't Apple, and you might observe that its performance is somewhat restricted or limited, and this is primarily due to Apple's own actions or behaviors. So, if you're going to enter the Apple ecosystem, you should be aware that you'll likely need everything else that is also Apple to ensure a good experience. Hey, by the way, another disappointing camera mode is time-lapse. It's quite poor. The video is displayed at a low bitrate and is only recorded in full HD. For some reason, Apple hasn't optimized the time-lapse camera mode for several generations now. It appears that they might be using the exact same code from the iPhone 6 or at least something very similar. It's almost at the point where it could be dropped, but not quite. It's not terrible enough to discard entirely, but it's definitely not great. Additionally, the multitasking performance leaves something to be desired, which means you might experience some app crashes or restarts. In general, on the heavy workloads, it feels noticeably less responsive compared to the Pro model. If you're a demanding user wanting many things open without closing them for good, this model still does not meet the needs. And obviously it doesn't have real 100% multitasking like we see on Android. So there again, we have iOS's own limitations. The charger is not included. That's something we always have to complain about. But if you already bought this phone, let me know your opinion in the comments and tell me what you thought. I think it is a very important evolution over the last generation, although it still has some shortcomings to compete against competitors in the same price range. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it. And we'll see you next time.